morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take ourselves a little bit of a look at a new Magearna. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to have a little bit of a chat about Magearna, and stop me if you've heard this one before, because I know this is going to sound a little bit strange, but our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. Why would it not, ladies and gentlemen? Why would it not? Well, because we've got several other lovely translator people that help us out, but still, we like Antoine. Now, starting off then with the basics, we've got 90 HP, and to be fair, 90 HP is actually very, very low. I know it's a basic Pokemon and all of that, and I'm under no illusions, right? I know Magearna is not the biggest, baddest, beefiest Pokemon we've ever seen before, but still, I'm not a huge fan of 90 HP. I'm also not a huge fan of the weakness here. Incidentally, we've never had a single prize Magearna with anything other than 90 HP, so we could have seen this coming. It is a weakness to fire, which means a weakness to Welded X, but the specific interaction I'm looking at here is the Volcanion from Unbroken Bonds. That's got the lovely attack for a single energy that lets you search your deck for free fire energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like, as long as it's your first turn and you went second. The thing is, it's also got an attack for 2 energy that does 50 damage, which double with weakness gets a KO. Sure, if there are 2 other fire energy on the field, attached to Volcanion or elsewhere, you will do 110 and get a KO anyway, but I don't like the fact that they don't need the extra energy to KO. That makes me nervous. Resistance to grass I like, but again, you got 90 HP. And being a metal Pokemon's not great in terms of hitting for weakness, but it does mean you get Metal Saucer. And, I mean, look, you've got stuff like Metal Goggles and Metal Core Barrier and Lucario and Metal Metal's GX attack, all of which reduce damage done to you, so maybe there is a chance for Magearna to last more than 2 seconds. But either way, we got a retreat cost of 1. Retreat cost of 1 gives you U-turn board. That's actually super relevant for the first attack. And I do like the first attack. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. It's a really, really good starting Pokemon. It just is. 6 cards. I mean, look, it's a Cynthia, right? It is literally Cynthia, or if you prefer, it is Professor Oak's new theory. If you're an older player, if you go back a little way. Pont, as we used to call it, because we were lazy. It's going to help you get set up. It's early in the game, I'm not set up, I don't really know what to do. Oh, I know, let's go ahead and use this, get ourselves a new hand of 6 cards. It's a really nice attack for slower decks, for setup decks, for decks that just need a couple of minutes before they're properly rolling. And it's better than the alternatives. It is literally better than the alternative. The best option we have at the moment is Hawlucha. The Hawlucha from Unbroken Bonds that lets you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5 cards. Well, I mean, I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit obvious, but 6 is a bigger number than 5. I mean, it literally takes you from a Titanizer into a Cynthia, and there's a reason why for the past couple of years, Cynthia has been one of the very best cards in the entire game, and Titanizer has been a little bit of a tech. And there are other options, really. Chatot from Unbroken Bonds. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw a card for each card in your opponent's hand. It's Copycat. But again, Copycat's been legal for the last couple of years, and it's not seen a huge amount of play, whereas Cynthia has. So, Chatot is basically Copycat, and Hawlucha is Titanizer, and this is Cynthia. Now, if I put those supporters side by side and ask you which one's a better draw card, you should all be telling me it's Cynthia. There are obviously exceptions and circumstances, but most of the time, especially if we go by the amount of play they're seeing, it is inarguably Cynthia. Which means if we put these draw Pokemon side by side, this is the best option. Nice. Now, there is actually a Pokemon coming. It's not out yet, but it is coming, which is actually better than Magearna. It's Wishy-Washy. And Wishy-Washy is the exact same thing, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw a new hand, But Wishy-Washy is a new hand of 8 cards, but it's got 30 HP. And 30 HP is low to the point that, like a Mew from Unbroken Bonds, that you're playing to protect your bench, will be able to drop 3 damage counters on and just get a KO. And ironically won't be blocked by your opponent's Mew, because it's damage counters, not damage. I love Wishy-Washy, and as a Pokemon, right, Wishy-Washy is so much cooler than Magearna, come at me in the comments, but the 30 HP makes me terrified. If you don't want a 30 HP Pokemon, this is the best early game shuffle your hand and get a new hand attack we've got. And then the retreat cost of 1, letting you free retreat with U-turn board, is just the icing on the cake. But there's another reason I prefer Magearna to Wishy-Washy, and it is the attack, which is genuinely useful. 10 damage, plus 20 more for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So if they've got a full bench, and a lot of the time they're going to have a full bench, you do 110 damage. Now, there are things to like and things to not like about this. I mean, the attack cost isn't great, but bearing in mind it is 1 metal, 1 colorless, and Metal Saucer is a thing, and we're going to have that Turbo Patch cards. Flip a coin if heads, attach a basic energy from your discard to one of your bench non-GX Pokemon. I mean, the colourless energy could even be met by something like a Tapu Koko. The point is, it's an easy-to-pay cost. And 110 is weird. Because on the one hand, there are plenty of Pokemon out there like Chinchino that you will be getting a nice, easy one-hit KO on. But then again, there's a bunch of stuff like Volcanion, like Blacephalon, single prize Pokemon that you won't. You'll get a bunch of single prize Pokemon, but you won't get them all. Now, if you're hitting for weakness, this should get Pokemon V and Pokemon GX, but won't get tag teams or V maxes. So let's say, for argument's sake, Gardevoir starts seeing a huge amount of play. This will not get Gardevoir V max, and incidentally, that is a deck that is going to be built around healing if people play it, but it will get Gardevoir V. Now, I know that it's very easy to look at Gardevoir and go, it's weak to Zacian, why would anyone ever play that? And right now, that's a really good point. Zacian is a phenomenal card, it's one of the best cards in the format, it's absolutely a phenomenal attacker. So yes, absolutely, at the moment, playing Gardevoir when Zacian sees a huge amount of play, that's not a good idea. But if we remind ourselves about the top 16 of the Japanese unofficial nationals that happened a week or so ago, you'll notice that in the top 16 there was 1 Zacian with Lucario and Melmetal. I'm not pausing for dramatic effect, that's the list. Zacian in the next format seems to be dropping off a bit, because we've got stuff like Eternatus V Max and stuff like Vikavolt and stuff like Eternatus, etc. It makes it fairly difficult. For anyone that's wondering, it lost the Lucario and Melmetal Zacian. It lost in top 8 to Vikavolt. So maybe Zacian goes away a bit, and if Zacian goes away a bit, maybe Pokemon that are weak to metal start coming back, and if that does happen, this becomes a really good counter. Now, of course, the counter argument is, yeah, you only get a one-hit KO when the Gardevoir player's got a full bench. So they're not going to fill their bench. I mean, firstly, there's always little tricksy things you can do, like, for instance, Morile GX. Lets you look at your opponent's hand and force them to bench Pokemon. Although I am also fully aware that at this stage, we're not really looking at a tech. We're looking at, like, a full-on strategy. But it still remains a technical option. But the other thing to bear in mind is, worst case scenario, if your opponent is not benching Pokemon they'd rather be benching just in case you drop a Magearna, that's still a win for you, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, it is a competent single prize attacker. It is going to finish Pokemon off, it's going to KO weak Pokemon, it's going to KO Pokemon that have a weakness to metal. And actually, I'm kind of alright with that. I mean, these Pokemon, right, where you've got this shuffle your hand into your deck, draw X number of cards, you're expecting to play them just for that. Chatos' attack is basically terrible. 10 damage plus confusion, it's trying to buy yourself a turn or two at best. Hawlucha's attack is basically terrible, 1 energy, 30 damage. Wishy-Washy's attack is basically terrible, 1 energy, 20 damage. So when you compare it to those Pokemon, not only does it have a better shuffle draw attack than All But Wishy-Washy. But it also has a better option in terms of an attack. So quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, go Magearna, go, go, go Magearna, go. I'm giving this, this is a hard one to score. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric, and I'm already feeling like that's a little bit mean. It is a shuffle draw attack, and the biggest argument against Magearna is we don't want shuffle draw attacks right now. And I can see that. Not all decks are going to want it. But the fact of the matter is, if you need a turn or two to set up and you need a Pokemon to sit behind, this is one of the best options you're going to have. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.